Hey everyone, it's Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership, and it's day 9 of Team on Fire. It's even the weekend, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself really for getting on here. But thank you for joining us. If you're here live, that's really nice. Today we are going to talk about how to work with people that you cannot stand. I said it, I get it. There's always somebody there that rubs you up the wrong way, gets on your nerves. Doesn't do it the way you want to do it and refuses to play ball, or sits in the corner and crosses her arms and makes you feel bad, or just downright awkward. And you think, my God. And over time, that can get big. That can get really uncomfortable. It can get really annoying. It can get very irritating, and it impacts on you, your relationship with them, but also the relationship of the team. So it's massively important. But the thing is that often, as things feel worse, then we see them worse. We look for the bad. We look for that bad, not the good, and then we make it even worse. It's like a vicious circle. So I want to talk about that because that's been an experience for me, actually. That's been something that I've experienced previously, and I think that many people do, whether you're on one end or the other, whether you have somebody who is behaving in a way that you can't bear, and you just think, oh my God, I hate Bob. Have you ever thought that? I really hate Bob. And you just think, I can't work with that person. Or whether somebody is behaving in a way to you and you don't understand why it is, and you're like, oh, either way, whether you're the boss or whether it is your boss that's doing it to you, it's massively important, because when we have conflict, it feels horrible. It feels icky. It feels like you can't concentrate on the thing that you want to concentrate on, because there's this feeling in the air. And remember, we're all human beings, so we may be able to do our job, but we won't be able to do our job if we're thinking about other stuff, if our feelings are there, because it distracts us and it stops us from doing a really good job. It stops us from saying what we really feel. It stops us from being confident, and it stops us from getting on with it and talking to people, and just, oh, that's my reminder to come on here. And it stops us from being part of the team, and who wants all that? And then you have to go home to your wife, your husband, or your partner, and they have to hear all about it, don't they? It's a bit like kids in the playground. My daughter come home from school the other day and said, oh, so-and-so's, he's really annoying me. And she sits on the same table as him, and he irritates her like crazy. And you think, oh, if you've got that going on, then it's really difficult to learn. It's really difficult to concentrate. So it's no different in a team, in an organization. So massively important to look at somebody that you can't stand. Either they shouldn't be in your business. Well, that's one way. And I think, to be honest, that's probably where it ends up if we don't deal with it. Either they leave, or you get rid of them somehow, and it's all a bit horrible, and it might cost you lots of money. And sometimes we're left wondering, like, how did that happen? What the hell went wrong there? It's been there before. And you think, well, why did it go to that level? Why is it that it's been so awkward? And why do I hate Bob so much? And then that's super interesting, because if you think about how much it costs to re-employ somebody, is that the word? Find somebody. No, what's the word? Recruit is the word I'm looking for. Find somebody new, train them up, when actually the person, Bob, for example, was actually kind of good at a job, but you just irritated each other so much you couldn't work together. What a waste, really. What a waste of talent. What a waste of your money. What a waste of time and energy and all of those things. So what do you do? Well, in my experience, a long time ago I had somebody that I just couldn't get on with, who didn't like the way I worked, didn't like me being happy and friendly and talkative. She was not happy or friendly or talkative, just wanted to get the job done. And of course, I do want to get the job done, but I like to do it with a smile on my face, and I like to talk to people. And so we were at the opposite ends of a spectrum of the way in which we go about things. And it all fell into complete mess, because she was irritated by me talking, I think, or me having a laugh or trying to enjoy myself whilst at work. I mean, how dare you enjoy yourself whilst you're at work? And I was irritated by the fact that she just looked like she'd been stung by a wasp all the time, and all she did was complain. So it was never going to work for us unless we did this one thing, which we never did, which meant I ended up moving jobs because, and I never want to work for the lady again. And so, that didn't work well for me. But I learned some massive, massive lessons. And in the work that I do now, as a mediator, as a team performance specialist, as a leadership coach, I see it all the time. How do I deal with Bob? How do I deal with Felicity? Oh my goodness, that's really annoying. How do I deal with that? Or I just can't work with him, or that person's irritating me, so I need to get rid of them. But no, what we need to do is something different. And it's what I should have done with this other person. And now, if I had my time again, maybe I would have done. Maybe. Right. Okay. So what is this then? What do we do? Well, imagine this. If you are irritated, your mindset is of I'm irritated, and I mentioned it before. You're looking for the bad. You're looking to validate how you feel, because our feelings drive us. Yeah, as I said, our feelings drive us, and so how we think, how we feel is going to impact on what we do, and then it's going to impact on the response. And think of it like a big vicious circle, as I said, in that your behavior, their behavior, whatever it was they did you didn't like, or their attitude or anything, will then impact on you. You'll think a certain thing, you'll feel a certain thing, and therefore your behavior will be a response to it. And then your behavior that was a response to their behavior will then hit them, not literally, hopefully, will hit them. And then they will go like, oh, wow, that was an impact on me. Then they will think, they will feel, and then they would have a response. So it's like playing tennis. Yeah. And so the problem with that is that if we come at this from a sort of it's not fair, I don't like this, and I'm going to play this game, let's call it a game, we could almost say that we're a bit like kids in the playground, as I said. And if you are listening to this and you're taking an interest in this, then I'm going to assume that you want to resolve this. So let's put you in the driving seat. And that is that if you want a different response, we have to break that cycle of how I think, how I feel, and what response I give to that person. So first of all, we need to stop and look at how I'm thinking and feeling before I respond. That's one thing we have to do. So we have to take a little bit of consciousness and look at this for what it really is, which is, oh, this is a game of tennis. I need to stop for a second and look at what response do I think I really want to give, maybe for the long-term good, not just for the short-term smacking them around the head because you don't like them. That's point one, okay? Now, the other thing is that when we have people like that, we tend to look at things from our perspective. So I've got my rose tinted glasses on here, but you might have your negatively tinted glasses on for this person. Yeah. So we're looking at it through our own lens. And the thing is, they look at it through a different lens. And so when we are looking at this person and we think, oh my God, they're so annoying, they're looking at a different lens of like, oh my God, she's so annoying. Okay, so you're both looking from, let's say, different perspectives. Okay, and with your perspectives and with your own situations, your agendas, your home lives, and everything about you as individuals, you will read situations in different ways. So you see a different reality to what Bob sees. Yeah, and you have needs that need to be met. So your reality of the situation is different from them, and the needs that you have aren't being met by Bob. Let's say, and that you maybe need to be respected, or you need to be listened to, or you need to be heard, or whatever it is. You have needs and you have a perspective of what this situation is all about. So because they're annoying, you don't listen, you don't communicate. But what that means is you have no idea what's really going on for Bob. So you don't know the lens which Bob is looking through. You don't know the lens that that he sees, and you don't know what his situation is necessarily. Okay, so what we're looking at, and there's a lovely picture, you could Google this, is like an elephant looking at it from different ways. Imagine a big elephant and you're looking at one end very close up at this situation, and it's like, oh, it's a trunk, yeah, it's a tree, I can see this thing. And then somebody else is looking at it from the other end, it's like it's a rope because he's got hold of his tail. Yeah, and if you're looking from the side, you probably think it's a brick wall. So what I'm saying is that when you see something different and you see a different perspective, you actually see a different reality in the situation. So what we need to do is to look at this and say, can I just step back a minute and look at this from a different perspective? Number one, let me be an adult about it and go look at it from their perspective, from Bob's perspective. How do you think Bob feels about this situation? What's going on for Bob? And it's hard sometimes because you're irritated, and so you've got these like triggers for Bob, but actually, what's going on for Bob? And then step right back so you can look at the whole elephant and go, what really is going on in this situation for both of us? And then you can start to see that actually there's other things going on, or there's other things in the pipeline here. And therefore, you see this differently from your emotional response that you were given. Make sense? And when you start looking definitely from Bob's perspective, you start to think, oh, hold on a second. Maybe Bob didn't just say it like that because he hates me. Maybe Bob's having a bad day at home or something like that. Yeah. And then you start to have a bit of empathy for the other person, and you understand why they do something. It might not be right and you might not like it, but you understand why it happened, which means you can start a conversation. And that's what I'm going to stop now, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to walk in the other person's shoes of that person that you really hate, because the minute that you do, you can see it from their point of view. You can see what they need, or you can at least ask them what they need then, and you start to open up. And it's the start of how to deal with situations where you hate that person or you're in conflict with that person. Hate's a big word. You should never hate anybody, really, should we? But it means that you actually start to understand how to have the conversation that you next need to have. So I'm going to stop there, and we will hopefully, actually, I'm thinking about that. We're going to talk about being an adult in the relationship, because tomorrow I think what we'll do is we'll talk about a little bit of parent, adult, child. I'll have to remind myself. I'll see you tomorrow. It's Julie from Think, Be, Do Leadership. Excuse me. And if this has been useful and you want to find out more about how to deal with Bob that you can't stand in your office, and you want some skills on how to deal with people that you just think are very annoying, but reality is we need to have better communication skills and to see their perspective, then give me a shout. PM me, and I will have a chat and see how we can help you with that. Have a lovely afternoon. Take care.